Welcome. I am Denise Loney, a legal member of the Judicial Appointments Board for Scotland, which I will refer to as JABS. I will be a panel member in the upcoming competition to recruit a chairperson for the Parole Board for Scotland. This video should be watched in conjunction with the other videos available on the JABS YouTube site by John Watt, current Parole Board chairperson, who speaks about the job itself, and Paul Gray, panel chair and JABS lay member, who talks about the competition. In this video, I will focus on sharing some insights about the JABS application process and hopefully give you some useful information if you're considering applying. Further information can be found in the role profile document produced by Scottish Government and the guidance note from JABS giving more information and explaining all the stages of the recruitment process. Finally, there is the application form, which is hosted on a web portal called GetGot. You will be prompted to create a username and password if you have not previously applied for a vacancy with us. Before applying, you should familiarise yourself with these documents and the relevant legislation. The guidance note includes tips on how to craft a strong application, which we hope you find useful. All of this material will be on the JABS website. During the whole process, you will be asked to demonstrate and provide evidence of how you match up to the required qualities, skills, and experience for the role. These are governance, communicating effectively, analysing information and making decisions, working with others, managing work effectively, and judicial functions. So let's start with the application form. There are 4 main parts. Firstly, personal information, qualifications, and career history. Secondly, there is a section to complete for each criteria where you give examples that demonstrate your skills, qualities, and experience for each criteria. Thirdly, a section on judicial functions. And fourthly, you're required to submit 2 examples of your written work produced by you. The self-assessment section is for many the most challenging part, not least because there is a word limit per section. So let's take a look at this in more detail. It's critical that you do some preparation before starting to fill in the form. The skills we assess for each post are set out in the application forms and guidance. You should read the information provided and look carefully at exactly what you're being asked for. Remember the importance of reading the question and answering that question. When the panel members score the applications, we can only give marks for the skills set out in the explanatory information. For each self-assessment quality, you'll need to give an example that shows how you meet the criteria. One strong example is better than several vague ones. Make sure there's enough detail for the panel to assess. And be honest about any gaps in your experience. Showing self-awareness and how you're working to fill those gaps is a strength. I'll tell you a little bit now about how these examples are scored. The first point to make is that all panel members will score these examples. So it's important that answers are clear to both legal or judicial and lay members of the panel. The second is that all criteria are given equal weight in the application scoring. What we need is 1 or more concrete examples of a situation that demonstrates and evidences the applicant's skills, qualities, and experience. We're looking for clear, concrete examples that show your skills and experience. There's no one right way to fill out the form. Just make sure you give us enough accessible detail. If it is vague and non-specific, it is unlikely to attract a high rating. Sometimes people clearly have the skills, but don't give us the evidence we need. So think carefully. What was the situation? What did you do and what happened as a result? Avoid general statements like, I manage a busy workload. Tell us how you do it. If you've applied before to JABS, make sure to read the guidance for this particular round. Things change. We update the process after every competition to improve it. If you just reuse your old form without checking the new instructions, you might miss something important. That's especially true this time, as this round doesn't follow some of the formats you may have seen in the past. I just want to say a few words about the judicial functions section of the form. In this section, you'll confirm whether you want to be considered legally qualified. If you do, just add a brief factual statement. It won't be scored. Everyone then needs to include a statement showing they're capable of carrying out judicial functions. Details and relevant legislation are in the guidance notes, so be sure to check those. I mentioned you have to upload some written work. This is in the final part of the self-assessment, and you'll need to submit 2 examples of written work. Choosing the right ones can be tricky, so read the criteria carefully and pick examples that show your skills and communication clearly. A report might be factually accurate, but if it doesn't include a decision or reasoning, it may not provide the panel with enough accessible evidence. So think about how well your examples meet the brief. Once you've picked your written work examples, you'll need to tell us why you chose them. There's a section on the form for this. It helps us understand how your examples show the criteria and why they matter. Another point that some candidates overlook is that there is a word limit on the written work, and it is important to stick to it. You can submit a longer document, but you must clearly mark the section you want us to read. If you don't, we'll stop at the word limit and score only what we've read. We're strict about this to keep things fair for everyone. In general, give yourself plenty of time to complete your application. It's not something to rush through in one evening. A good approach is to tackle it in sections and come back to it after a few days with fresh eyes. You can save as you go and copy from Word to use spell check. The guidance note has all the details, so read it carefully before you start. I just now want to say a few words about the interview stage. If you're shortlisted, firstly, congratulations. But don't rely on your application alone. Prepare thoroughly, review materials, anticipate questions, and have fresh examples ready. Interviews are usually with a panel of 4, 2 judicial or legal members and 2 lay members, plus a note taker. You'll be asked scenario-style questions like, tell us about a time when, or give me an example of. We're looking for thoughtful, honest responses. Some of the best examples come from situations that didn't go perfectly. If you can reflect on what you learned, that's powerful. Have a range of experiences to draw on, but don't read them out word for word. And most importantly, answer the question. Listen carefully, take a moment to think, and respond clearly. If you're unsure, ask for clarification. Explain your reasoning. What decision did you make and why? This is your chance to show how you meet the criteria and demonstrate the qualities we're looking for. We know interviews can be daunting, even for experienced candidates. We'll do our best to help you feel at ease. Some final thoughts. Remember that this is a competitive process, and whilst your application will be assessed against the criteria, it will also be considered alongside other applications. So you need to give yourself the best chance to set yourself apart from others. You need to be asking yourself a number of questions. Are you ready? Do you understand the role and how you'd make it work? Are you a good fit? What will you bring to the role? What do you need to work on? Have you shown that you've thought about these things? Are your examples the strongest ones? Can you commit enough time to do the process justice? If you have any questions, the Business Management Unit is here to help. Contact them via the JABS Central mailbox, which is mailbox@jabs.gov.scot. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.